Sunshine State soldiers moving away from the action.
We had some Florida National Guard, actually not far from where you are right now.
Among the last to leave Ukraine ahead of Putin's invasion. Russians' reduction.
Ukraine is in a good negotiating position.
But is this de-escalation or diversion? And free haircuts to college students.
People can get together and kind of be able to relate.
Serving more than one role. These stories and more coming up on Newsbreak.
Hello, South Florida. I'm Jessica Costa.
And I'm Julian Davis. Today is Wednesday, March 30th, 2022.
From the South Florida Media Network's Biscayne-based studios in North Miami, this is SFMN Newsbreak.
We had trainers on the ground, and we had to move them outside of Ukraine as the invasion looked like it was going to be imminent. We had some Florida National Guard, actually not far from where you are right now.
Pentagon Press Secretary John Kirby revealing that brave members of the Florida National Guard were among the last U.S. troops to leave Ukraine ahead of the Russian military invasion. Meanwhile, U.S. officials are pointing to what they call a major strategy shift by Russia.
As CNN's Chris Wynn reports, Vladimir Putin has decided to drastically reduce his military forces in two major Ukrainian cities.
A significant move on two fronts. Russia pulling back some forces from Kyiv and Chernihiv following the latest peace talks with Ukraine in Istanbul, with Turkey hailing the talks as the most meaningful progress yet. More than a month into the invasion, many crediting the underestimated resilience of the Ukrainian people.
I do think that Ukraine is in a good negotiating position, much better than they would be had they not been able to push the Russians out of Kyiv.
Paramount to Russia's change in strategy, an agreement on neutrality. A Ukrainian presidential advisor saying a meeting between Putin and Zelensky is now a likelihood. But the shelling of northern cities continued on Tuesday, even as the de-escalation was announced.
Mr. Mayor, what was that?
You have just heard an explosion. That means something has flown in to attack us. You can give this recording to your military and they will tell you that this is not our explosion. This isn't us striking something. This is something that has come from the enemy side.
U.S. officials believe Russian forces are pulling back in some areas of the north to focus on gains in the south and the east. But Secretary of State Antony Blinken cautions that this could be a deception.
There is what Russia says, and there is what Russia does. We're focused on the latter.
In Washington, I'm Chris Wynn reporting.
According to an advisor to Ukrainian's president, Ukrainians will be asked in a referendum to approve any agreement linking neutrality status with security guarantees.
There's a showdown this morning over the state's redistricting map, and it's Republican versus Republican. Governor Ron DeSantis voted and vetoed a new congressional boundary yesterday, which was approved by the Republican-controlled legislature. The issue at hand, the 5th congressional district, an area with mostly minority voters represented by a black Democrat. DeSantis said he will call lawmakers back to Tallahassee next month for a special session to redraw district lines.
A family suing a drawbridge operator that controlled a bridge where a woman died. A Florida woman fell off a bridge that opened up and died last month in West Palm Beach County. Family of the deceased files a lawsuit against bridge operator on duty and bridge company for negligence and economic expenses.
An argument swerving out of control, causing a shocking car crash onto someone's home. Neighbors are in shock after witnessing a car crash in the Jacksonville community. Multiple bystanders say the car was visibly out of control miles away before colliding into the resident's home. Everyone involved in the accident was transported to the hospital. Thankfully, none of the injuries are reported to be life-threatening.
6 people are waking up in the hospital today after a church's roof collapsed in Florida. The disruption happened this weekend in Pensacola. The church was repairing their roof after Hurricane Sally hit the city over a year ago. Officials say the storm may have caused leak damage in the roof, which made the wood rot, and the weight of the workers was bigger burden than it could handle. Fortunately, no one was seriously injured.
A homecoming game of sorts for the Florida Panthers after 7 straight on the road.
That's still ahead, and so is this story.
When they send us the appointments, we all we all try to get there as quick as possible. Everybody we all text each other and let each other know what days is coming.
A traveling barber bringing a slice of home to Black students who are away at college. Newsbreak will be back in 2 minutes.
Jordan knows he shouldn't eat this entire bowl of nachos, but tonight he's earned that right because a few hours ago in the middle of happy hour, he recognized a sign, not from the gods or a bolt of lightning, but from a double heart, a kissy face, and a fourth ha in ha ha ha. That's when Jordan knew he was buzzed. So when it was time to go, he got a ride home instead of driving. Be a legend like Jordan. Recognize your buzzed warning signs and get a ride home. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
My mother was always very familiar with her neighborhood, but one day she stopped at the stop sign for much longer than usual, and she didn't know whether she should go forward or turn, and she wasn't even really sure where she was at. It was very unsettling for her.
I felt so much better after my son told me, "Mom, I don't want you to worry or be afraid. I'll be there for you, and we'll figure it out."
How prepared is your family if a tornado shows up at your doorstep, or a flood, or a hurricane? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan now. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes. Make a plan today.
A cutting-edge idea for students who are studying far from home. Not every college community is as diverse as South Florida.
And as Sarah Gannon from KTGC in Iowa reports, one creative solution just crossed its one-year anniversary.
There's not very many different haircut spots available in town.
Decorah is a smaller community, and to find a barber experienced in cutting black hair,
Having a haircut always feels nice when you're competing, just to, I guess, look good, play good.
some students have to drive the hour and a half to Rochester.
I just love to see the smiles and, you know, the things that I do. Like I say, it's, you know, I had a lot of experiences, and I just want to give back in any way I can.
Luther College saw the need for students of color to have a proper haircut and have been working with Gil Jordan, a barber based in Rochester and Winona.
It's nice to get to talk to Uncle Gil. When they send us the appointments, we all try to get there as quick as possible. Everybody, we all text each other and let each other know what days he's coming.
Jordan makes the drive to Decorah every other Monday to provide these students free expert haircuts and a sense of community.
I just think it's needed. I think in communities as well, you know, where people can get together and kind of be able to relate and stuff like that. It builds communities and builds people also.
Jordan says his chair also provides students with someone outside of school to talk about family, school, everything else in between.
So, you know, that's been my thing, to kind of give back. You know, I haven't had the best life growing up and stuff like that, so I kind of know how it's needed, and especially I have a male figure to talk to.
Joel Jordan hopes to keep offering haircuts for Luther College students for years to come. He hopes to expand his work to other schools in Northeast Iowa, Southeast Minnesota area.
Home cooking for the Florida Panthers back at the FLA Live Arena after 7 straight games on the road. The Montreal Canadiens visiting FLA Live Arena and not getting a warm welcome on the ice. After being tied 4-4 in the third period, the Cats scored 3 straight goals to win 7-4.
That's all the time we have for Newsbreak. I'm Julian Davis.
I'm Jessica Costa. Get more news anytime at sfmn.fiu.edu.